Government overreach is not new to this time, okay? The government in the United States has been tyrannical and overstepping its bounds for quite some time now. And I feel like if you are somebody who thinks that just this year, just recently, government overreach became a problem, then you have bad media literacy. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention for the last 10 years or so. We just had a planet-wide lockdown just recently. Like, just pretty recently, the entire planet was locked down. And you couldn't go outside unless you put a experimental vaccine inside of your body. So this is nothing new. So I'm seeing the good guy, anti-good guy, bad guy club running around with their 14 points of fascism. And here's the deal. I'm seeing so many people descend into unwellness. This is my orb, by the way. Do you like my orb? This is my Palantir. I've been placed inside of the Palantir. This is the Palantir. This is the new Palantir cam. Hi, guys. But seriously, I've been seeing so many people descend into pure lunacy, thinking that we are living in this, like, you know, like the most oppressive time in the history of the United States. In the 1940s, FDR was throwing Japanese people in literal internment camps. Like actual literal internment camps. What we have going on today is a lot different, actually. So it's not the same. And I don't want you thinking this is a whataboutism, because it's not. The point is not to say, well, Trump is not as bad as Biden. That's not what I'm trying to do, because I'm not a Trump supporter, despite the binary thinking patterns of the contemporary Marxist who thinks anyone who does not fit in with whatever I have inside of my head is the opposite and therefore is my enemy. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Trump supporter for the reasons you're not a Trump supporter, but I'm not a Trump supporter. So this whole notion that this is brand new and pulling out the 14 points of fascism as of late and completely ignoring them during the Biden administration and all of the lunacy that was going on then, you're an ignoramus and you're ignoring reality, right? What I'm seeing right now is reality denial and the actual bolstering of media almost intentionally for an intentional outrage that individuals want to feel. There is something empowering in allowing your wrath to be placed upon other people because of the things you're feeling. People kind of like it. They kind of get off in this weird way on it. But I want to assure you, don't worry, guys. We've been getting fucked for years. Okay? We've been getting fucked for years. This is nothing new. All right? So what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be going over the 14 points of fascism, and we're going to be talking about how this is nothing new and how it's completely fine. We're fine, guys. And after we go over the 14 points of fascism, I'm going to be focusing on one of the points of fascism in particular, and I'm going to be discussing how the Rockefeller Foundation funded second-wave feminism and made all of our beautiful ladies of the world not feel like women anymore, how it destroyed the divine feminism, the divine feminine, not the divine feminism, how it destroyed the divine feminine and put you in the workspace and made you a taxpayer instead of getting the choice of being someone who stays at home, raises kids, and whatever, right? It's a psychological operation because guess what? Now, when World War III pops off, you might be a part of the draft, you sexy woman. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. That was weird. I shouldn't have said sexy woman. I'm sorry. That was not good. All right, well, time to calcify. This camera is so washed out today. I hate when this happens because the lighting on everything else is great, and then that one is all washed out. Now that's a guzzler. Oh. I feel like an American. Time to want to really take over a small nation in South America and make them feel like subject them to having to sell cocaine to people like Izzy in 2015 when it was doing so much blow and writing rock and roll songs. Oh, man. All right. I'm nice and calcified. Let's go. Let's do it, ladies and gents. Here we go. The 14 points of fascism. Powerful and continuing national fascist regimes tend to make constant use of patriotic mottos, slogans, songs, and paraphernalia. Flags are seen everywhere as flags are symbols on clothing and in public displays. Well, as we enter the realm of the Palantiria, I seem to remember quite a few things during COVID that were very slogan-y, very patriotic. We're all in this together. Remember when they all sang that song, Imagine, by John Lennon?
Imagine there's no heaven.
Gal Gadot, even though she's a hot Brazilian woman.
Easy if you try.
So hot. She sucks at acting. She's an idiot.
No hell below us.
She's a total Zionist.
Living for today.
IDF soldier, fed bitch. But she's great looking, dude.
Need for greed and...
Guess what? There were so many slogans.
I hope someday you'll...
There were so many slogans. Who remembers the slogans?
And the world will be as one.
Flatten the curve. Who remembers flatten the curve? You don't remember flatten the curve? Stay at home, save lives. Keep calm and stay home. Who remembers that? Who's social distancing is a sign of affection. Who remembers that? This orb actually is exactly how I felt during COVID. During COVID, while everybody was, spraying everything and disinfecting everything, talking about social distancing, keep calm and stay home, talking about flattening the curve, I used to meet up with my Coke dealer and I would buy a ton of Coke and I would just go in my room and I'd buy like a week's worth and I'd be like, we might not be able to leave the house in a week. And I would get all of the blow and I would just do tons of it. And I would just, it was awful. My addiction got insanely bad. My drinking got insanely bad. So one thing about me with my alcoholism is when it really got bad, I was a binge drinker. So I could go a couple weeks without drinking, but then if I had a day where I started drinking, it was on. So I would buy like 2 weeks worth of alcohol and drink all of it in like a day and a half. So, I flattened the curve for sure. I flattened the curvature of my brain. It became much smoother from how much I drank, right? So nothing new. This is nothing new. Okay, let's go to the second one. The second one. Disdain for the recognition of human rights because the fear of enemies and the need for security. Okay, so human rights like being able to leave your home, mask mandates, lockdowns, pressuring people to literally take an experimental vaccine, and if you don't, not having the human right to work. You would not be able to work if you did that. Federal and state authorities literally basically took away your bodily autonomy entirely. I think bodily autonomy and the decision of what you put into your body is literally a human right. In fact, I saw a video of a U.S. Soldier get pinned down and he got injected. Like 17 different people came in and held him down and injected him with the COVID-19 vaccination. So there's that, I didn't see the 14 points of fascism one time. I'm seeing the 14 points of fascism be touted around by a ton of anti-good guy, bad guy guys, or whatever you call yourselves. Here's the thing. We just exited probably the most fascistic time in the history of the United States, and I did not see during that time one single person, particularly on the left, bring out the 14 points of fascism when we were literally locked into our homes and sequestered into small, confined spaces, not allowed to get within 6 feet of one another, forced to have masks on our faces and muzzles, and then also our bodily autonomy borderline being taken away, and an experimental vaccination that literally alters your DNA was forced upon people. We just exited one of the most fascistic times in the history, not even of the United States, actually of the world, ever. There was a global coercion, concerted effort into locking you into your home. And I don't know anyone who even brings it up or talks about it anymore. Literally, a cartel of pharmaceutical companies coerced together on a global scale and injected probably half of the world's population with an experimental vaccination. And right now is the time that we're talking about fascism? What? And honestly, I don't want to hear a single person say, I've been fighting fascism for 15 generations. Before fascism even existed, when it was created by Benito Mussolini. Literally, my family was literally fighting it way back when we were from Hyperborea, dude. I don't want to hear that, because guess what? I distinctly remember Trump being in office, BLM riots happening, the start of COVID happening, tons of anti-fascism out, and then all of a sudden Joe Biden stole an election and everybody just stopped talking about fascism for 4 years. And all of a sudden, it's back. Just like Emperor Palpatine. It's back. Fascism is on the rise again. But when we were locked into our homes, nobody said a fucking peep. I didn't even hear about the 14 points of fascism until Donald Trump came back. The big bad meanie. He's back. And this time, he's deporting people. We need to, oh no, he's back. Oh my God, he's back, guys. He's back. I gotta be like Luke Skywalker. I'm gonna be the one to stop him this time. And trust me, I am on the left side with so many issues, with so many things. But if you cannot see the hypocrisy in this, you cannot think critically. Like genuinely. You genuinely lack an ability to think critically. Because, trust me, dude, I lived in one of the most locked down parts of the country. I was sequestered into my home for almost 4 fucking years. My entire 20s was spent in a room. Trust me. I really went through it during COVID. Trust me. And I was online, on the threads, on the boards. I totally thought that, Q was going to save us all. I was there, okay? Trust me, I know. I was a literal schizophrenic, literal cocaine addict. Trust me, I know what was going on. This is fucked. 3, identification of enemies as scapegoats as a unifying cause. Okay, so identifying the population into 2 groups, oppressed and oppressor, and further invalidating people's existences through groups like Antifa, not Antifa, white, being a minority, making every single thing a power dynamic within the racial identity groups that they're lumped into, making it impossible for minorities to be racist at all, incentivizing anyone within a heteronormative sort of existence to be basically deemed as an oppressor. One of the main issues that I see with the 14 points of fascism is that the left purposely uses it as an identifier and lumps it into, it's right wing, right? So when Marxist groups do it. Like when Marxist governments, like the Soviet Union, did all of these same things. Do you know that in the Soviet Union, when artists made art, the art literally had to reflect the positive things about the Soviet Union and had to literally promote things like family and work and the state? It actually didn't actually that's actually incorrect. It could not promote family. In fact, let's actually pull that up. Okay, so here it is. This is what it had to do. It had to glorify the state and communism. Art had to present the USSR as strong, successful, righteous, and progressive towards a utopian future. It had to celebrate the working class. Workers, farmers, soldiers, and factory laborers were shown as heroic, happy, and devoted to the communist cause. It had to portray Lenin and Stalin as wise, father-like leaders. Leaders were shown to be infallible visionaries guiding the people. It had to reject individualism and a decadent Western style. Abstract art, surrealism, expressionism, symbolism, etc. were considered bourgeois and were considered dangerous and counter-revolutionary. So that is insane. Surrealism, expressionism, symbolism. Symbolism is considered bourgeois and dangerous. And it also had to be easy to understand. Art needed to be clear, realistic, and inspirational. No complex symbolism unless it served the ideology of communism. So that is literally what the Soviet Union, if you made art in the Soviet Union, it could not be released unless it fell into one of those categories and was approved by the state. And if your artwork did not do that, it was censored or it was destroyed. Artists could be fired, blacklisted, or even banned from working. You were then publicly humiliated and forced to self-criticize. Artists were sometimes made to publicly confess that their art was wrong and then had to apologize, saying that they would fall in line with what the party wants and in the party line. They were then surveilled and harassed, and they were monitored by the secret police, and their friendships and communications were heavily monitored and watched. Well, we already have that. I have that. I have that going on here, and if you're a close friend of mine, you've seen it happen. So that already goes on with me. And then from the 1930s to the 1950s, especially in Stalin's era, you were then either forced into a gulag labor camp or you were fucking executed. So sometimes just in case you needed a reminder of why this is why we're fighting against this. Just in case you need to know, someone who's an artist like me who's extremely critical of the state, I've been, people who, I get so confused because people, I had a comment on a live stream yesterday where somebody said, this is sounding a little Trumpy. I have 15 reels criticizing Trump and the things that he's done in his administration. I'm not a fan of the state. I've never been a good boy. I've never really been a fan of the state. I don't like the state. I don't like the government. So when people call me a bootlicker, they're a fucking idiot. And really what it is they're so entranced in what the big media tells them and what the hypno has done to them. They're just, he criticized the anti-good guy, bad guy club. That guy must be a supervillain. We gotta trap him in the Palantir. We gotta trap him in the Palantir because he talks about things that are outside of my understanding. I don't understand it. And frankly, this is something that I see almost exclusively from the left. People on the left assume that if you are not talking about the things that they're talking about in the ways in which they want you to talk about it, you are then anti them. And this is a distinct and a unique characteristic of theirs and a unique tactic because, frankly, this is literally what Marxists do when they're trying to fit you into their category so they can commit violence on you.
The Westernist videos over on the Patreon, and if you actually really want to watch it, it's over there, and I dove over the other 10 points. And then there's also another video in this series called Based AF, and the other part of this series is actually about how second wave feminism was all funded by the Rockefeller Foundation. So if you really want to learn about how the Rockefeller Foundation funded second wave feminism, and that's why all the women are crazy now, that's why.